Wishing you all a very good afternoon. I hope you're all doing great today. I would like to first thank you all for taking the time to attend today's webinar. I am Sharda, product expert in AD Self-Service Plus from the marketing team of Manage Engine, and I will be your presenter for today. I hope my voice is audible and the display is well and clear. If not, please let me know immediately in the chat provided. So jumping right into today's session, we are going to be talking about single sign-on simplified, one identity for 80 plus applications. So why do we need single sign-on? What are the advantages or benefits of single sign-on? So let's start right from the advantages. So I'm sure we all work towards cloud technology these days. There is a steep increase in the number of applications that we use in our organization on a daily basis. And we are adopting to cloud technology at a very fast rate. So when users are put to a situation where they are required to handle at least 4 to 5 applications on a daily basis, the process of remembering multiple passwords to log into each of their applications becomes a little cumbersome process, especially when it comes to setting up different passwords depending on the password policies each application supports. And that is exactly where single sign-on plays a huge role, a major advantage. And that is because with single sign-on deployed, users can have a one-click access or a one portal access to multiple applications. So for instance, let's take an example, a popular example of an application that is Google. And I'm sure every one of you would have used one of the Google application. So it's pretty simple. You log into one of the Google apps or the Google Suite account, and therefore you will have an endless one-click access to multiple applications across the Google Suite, like the Mail, your Google Plus account. You can access YouTube, and all this without having to give in your credentials every single time. And that is the advantage single sign-on provides. All right, so not only is single sign-on a simple and easy method to use, but it is very important to maintain IT security, and that is the focus for today. So we're going to see how Active Directory based single sign-on can be achieved. That is a simple and secure integration between users' Active Directory and multiple cloud applications can be achieved with the help of Manage Engine AD Self-Service Plus. Also talking about getting access to multiple applications, getting one-click access to multiple applications, we are also focusing on improved user productivity. So how can that happen? Because like I said, users are pushed to a situation today where organizations have adopted to cloud technology and have an intensive use of multiple cloud applications. Users are required to give in passwords every time they try to log in and access one of these applications. Whereas with single sign-on deployed, with Active Directory based single sign-on deployed using AD Self-Service Plus, the entire process of accessing an application becomes much simpler, thereby improving user productivity. Also, when users have uninterrupted access to multiple applications, and when I said Active Directory based or Active Directory user credential based access, thereby they do not have to remember passwords or go through a process of a forgotten password, thereby leading to reduced help desk tickets. All right, so before we jump into how things can work from the AD Self-Service Plus portal, I would like to give you a quick brief of what we will be dealing with today. So we're going to see how we can secure cloud applications with two-factor authentication. So when I said we are working on uncompromised IT security while also trying to achieve a simple one-click seamless access to multiple applications, authentication plays a very important role. So as a user, the user will first go through the first factor of authentication, which is nothing but his Windows login credentials. So when the user tries to log into the AD Self-Service Plus portal, he will have to authenticate his identity by giving in the Windows login credentials, which is your Active Directory credentials. And once that is done, you as an administrator or a technician can provide users or can ensure that users go through a secondary factor of authentication. So we, with the help of AD Self-Service Plus, support the most commonly used method, which is the verification code. That is, you will be able to send, that is from AD Self-Service Plus, you will be able to send a verification code via email or SMS to the user. But other than that, we also provide the Duo Security, Google Authenticator, RSA Secure ID, and Radius Authentication with which the users can reconfirm or complete their secondary authentication, prove their identity, and successfully access all the cloud applications that single sign-on has been enabled for. All right, with that said, I'm moving on to another important aspect of single sign-on, that is single sign-on enabled from the AD Self-Service Plus portal. That is, you as a user can make use of the Active Directory identity. The user can make use of Active Directory credentials as an authentication source to be able to access all the applications. So this simple flowchart right on your screens will explain how things work. So from an end user's perspective, a logon request to access any of the single sign-on enabled application. So this moves on to the AD Self-Service Plus server as an SAML request. And once the AD authentication is confirmed, the user's AD authentication is confirmed, an SAML response is given back where the user will then be granted access, logon access to all the single sign-on enabled applications. So by this, the user will be able to use his Active Directory credentials as an authentication source to access all the single sign-on applications. Finally, when I'm talking about access to applications, you as a technician or an administrator can also modify or control or customize access to applications, users' access to applications. So this is what we call the policy-based access control, where with the help of AD Self-Service Plus, you can create policies based on organizational units and groups present in Active Directory. So this workflow right in front of your screen is how simple it is. So what you can do is create multiple policies depending on the organizational units and groups present in Active Directory and control the access to cloud applications that you provide to your users. For example, applications like Salesforce, Zendesk, and ServiceNow might be an application that would require access only from people or users in the sales team or the sales organizational role. And these users can be sorted into an organizational unit or group in your Active Directory. And a policy created in AD Self-Service Plus will ensure that only the users who fall under this particular policy have a seamless one-click access to a certain set of applications. So yes, so with that said, let me quickly jump on to the agenda for today. We are going to be talking about Active Directory based single sign-on for cloud applications. So the focus is on Active Directory based single sign-on, and how we as users can deal with multiple passwords with increasing application count in organizations. So that is exactly why single sign-on comes into picture and plays a very, very important role. Also, you can provide users one-click access to cloud applications without having to manually enter their credentials every time. So by this, I mean that users will be able to access all their single sign-on enabled applications right from their domain user portal, a one-click access to all their applications, all their single sign-on enabled applications right from their domain user portal with the help of AD Self-Service Plus. Also, we're going to see how to use Active Directory as an authentication source for logging into cloud applications. So users can make use of their Windows login credentials as an authentication source to be able to access all the cloud applications. And finally, we're also going to look into how to control single sign-on for each application based on organizational units and groups that's present in Active Directory. So right now I'm going to jump into using our Manage Engine AD Self-Service Plus application. We're going to see how we can work around right from the configuration of single sign-on. I'm going to show you a stepwise live demo of how you can set up single sign-on from AD Self-Service Plus for users access to more than 80 applications. And we're also going to look at the user's perspective of how easy and secure it is to be able to access the application of his or her choice. Also, any questions during the session, please put them forward in the questions tab that's provided to you. So we have a dedicated team right here to answer all your queries and questions right during your session. We will also be taking time to answer your questions after the session, so please keep your questions coming. Also, the video of this particular webinar will be available online and can also be shared with you. So all you have to do is drop in your mail in the chat or questions tab available, and I will ensure that the video recording of this particular webinar reaches you for self-learning. All right, with that said, I'm going to go on and log in as an administrator into my AD Self-Service Plus portal. And under the Configuration tab, let me quickly show you the background work that I've already done, for which under Active Directory Users and Computers, I have created an organizational unit under my name, that is Sharda, and tried to replicate or depict a simple organizational structure. So what I've created here is organizational units depending on any organization's role. For instance, admin, finance, and HR. And I've sorted users in each of these organizational units. So this is from the Active Directory Users and Computers screen. So jumping back to AD Self-Service Plus, I have created policies in AD Self-Service Plus under the same name, that is admin, finance, and HR. And I've done this by creating a policy for all the users that belong to that particular OU. So all I did was hit add a new policy, gave my policy name, enabled all the actions that I require, and for the particular domain, that is SSP Workshop, this is the domain I'm working with today. For this particular domain, I chose the organizational unit respective to the policy that I'm creating and sorted users into 3 different policies. All right, so now I'm going to jump to single sign-on that is present in the configuration tab under self-service. And let us take the most widely used application, which is Google Apps, and try to set up single sign-on. So the module is single sign-on. The domain that I am working with today is evergrowingtech.com. So before I save this particular configuration from the AD Self-Service Plus portal, I'm going to choose this particular Google app single sign-on access for users who fall under all of these categories or policies. But before I save it, I'm going to click on Download SSO Certificate. And these are the details that you need to pay keen attention to. So these are the details that you will have to configure from the application or service provider admin page. So I'm going to show you how that works as well right here. What I'm going to do now is make note of the login, logout, and help URL and ensure that it is the same as the host I'm working with. Also, there is a download SSO certificate, which is the single sign-on certificate. There's a meta file which can be downloaded as well as an encryption fingerprint that is present right here. So depending on the application you're working with, the kind of certificate that you require will vary. So with respect to Google Apps, I will require a SSO certificate, which I'm going to quickly download. And once my download is complete, let me log in to my admin portal. Logging in as an administrator. I'm going to redirect myself to the admin console and click on So yes, now that I've landed on the Google admin console, I'm going to click on security and navigate to set up single sign-on. So to complete the single sign-on setup from the Google account, I have to enable single sign-on for a third-party identity provider, that is AD Self-Service Plus in our case, and check if the sign in, sign out, and the help URL is the same as what is already present in the AD Self-Service Plus SSO details page. Once I'm done with cross-verifying the URL, I'm going to upload the certificate that I just downloaded. And my settings has been saved successfully. Let me quickly log out of my admin account and save the configuration in the AD Self-Service Plus portal as well. So once the system configuration has been added successfully, let us try and look at how simple it is for a user to be able to access Google application from their AD Self-Service Plus domain user login. So I'm going to try and log in as the user Sharada into my AD Self-Service Plus domain user login, and under the Applications tab, you can see that I have a click to login to access Google Apps. I'm going to click now, and my email ID has been detected, but when I hit next, I'm required to enter the password. Please don't be surprised because I'm going to quickly explain why we are going through this particular situation in spite of completing the configuration. So let me jump back to the AD Self-Service Plus admin portal. Click on password sync or single sign-on, and this is a very important step. So it is important to ensure that the account that is present, the user's account that is present in the service provider is linked with your AD Self-Service Plus in a right manner. What do I mean by a right manner? Let me quickly brief you about that. The service provider that I'm working with is Google Apps. By default, my domain has been selected. Automatic account linking is enabled by default as well, but the account attribute that is chosen by default is our Active Directory mail attribute, whereas I've set up an account format which follows another structure that is Sam account name at evergrowingtech.com. So this is the account format that I've been working with respect to Google application. So it's very important to ensure that the account linking is enabled in the right account format. If not, you can always disable it and make sure that the users choose the account they would like to link SSO for. Let me quickly save account linking and go back to the user portal to see if it works. All right, so now if you notice Sharda at evergrowingtech.com has been automatically detected. Let me click on login. My email ID has been detected. I'm going to hit next. And this time I was able to successfully log in and access my Google account. So what I'm going to do next is try to sign out, and let me attempt a login right from the Google Accounts page. That is, without going through the AD Self-Service Plus page, I am going to manually enter my email ID for the domain evergrowingtech.com and hit next. Once again, without having to give in my password, I have been successfully logged into my Google application account. And this was possible because not only do we provide Active Directory based single sign-on for cloud applications, we also make use of Active Directory as an authentication source for logging into cloud applications. So if you're wondering how that worked, let me go back and quickly explain to you. When the user Sharda had logged into our AD Self-Service Plus portal by giving in the Windows login credentials, which is nothing but the Active Directory credentials, the authentication, that is the Active Directory authentication, happens automatically. And that facilitates single sign-on without being able to give the password manually for Google application. So now we'll look into another case where I am not logged into my Google account. I'm not logged into my AD Self-Service Plus portal, and I make an attempt to try and log into my Google account right from the Google Accounts page. So once again, I'm giving in my email and hitting next. So this time you can see that I have been redirected to the AD Self-Service Plus page. Let me give in the username and password, which is nothing but my Windows login credentials. Try to log in to my domain, that is SSP Workshop. And once again, my Active Directory credentials is acting as an authentication source to give me access to my Google applications Google account. I have been able to successfully log in as Sharda Murthy into Sharda at evergrowingtech.com without having to provide my Active Directory password. And that is how simple and secure it is to be able to configure single sign-on from your AD Self-Service Plus portal. And not only that, it provides users a one-click seamless access and thereby simplifies the entire process of being able to access multiple applications. We're not talking about a few applications, but more than 80 applications that AD Self-Service Plus supports. So this was possible because for Google applications, AD Self-Service Plus supports not only identity provider access, it also provides a service provider access, and that is exactly why we were able to use the Active Directory credentials to be able to access Google Apps without having to give the Google application or Google account password. All right, but this is not the same case with all the other applications. Like I said, the configuration that works from the AD Self-Service Plus perspective is the same, whereas from one application to another, the process of configuring changes. So we're going to look into another example. Let's take an example of Dropbox, which is also an application that is widely used and try to set up single sign-on for Dropbox as well. All right, so the module that we are going to be working with is single sign-on. I'm going to choose the same domain, which is evergrowingtech.com. And this time I'm also required to give in my SAML redirect URL. So if you have steps in a particular configuration that you're not aware of, or you would like to have more information about, we also have a dedicated help document, a stepwise help document to guide you to configure single sign-on for all the 80 applications, more than 80 applications. So right from what is your prerequisite to how the configuration happens in the service provider as well as the identity provider, configuration step is mentioned well in detail, and all you have to do is follow it to be able to successfully complete the configuration for all the applications that AD Self-Service Plus supports. All right, so I'm going to move on and try to do the configuration for Dropbox. Once again, the login, logout, and help URL has to be made note of. In some cases, you're required to use the SSO certificate, the meta file in others, and sometimes the verification certificate is just an encryption fingerprint. So let's look into the case of Dropbox and see how it works. What I'm going to do is try and log in as my administrator into my Dropbox account and navigate to Admin Console, choose Settings, and move on to Single Sign-On to enable Single Sign-On right under Authentication. All right, so Single Sign-On is currently in off. I'm going to change the mode to require, that is, members must sign in with Single Sign-On. I'll have to quickly check the identity provider URL as well as the logout URL. In this case, a certificate is required, which has to be uploaded. And the SSO single sign-on URL can be copied from this link. The URL has been copied. Let me go back to the AD Self-Service Plus admin page and paste the SAML redirect URL in the tab that is provided. Save the settings or apply changes in Dropbox. The changes have been confirmed. Navigate back to my Dropbox configuration in the AD Self-Service Plus portal. This time, I am going to choose the policies to be HR. That is, I want Dropbox configuration or single sign-on access to Dropbox only for the users in the policy HR, and I'm going to hit Save. So yes, the system configuration has been added successfully. Let us try and log into one of the users under the organizational unit HR, Adam for instance. So what I'm going to do is try and access Adam's domain user login right from his AD Self-Service Plus page. And for the user Adam under applications, you can see that not only Google Apps has been detected, Dropbox is also available. So I'm going to click to log into Dropbox. Click on Continue to proceed. And you can see that I have been successfully logged in as Adam L into the Dropbox account. So yes, setting up single sign-on is pretty simple. Let me try doing the same thing by accessing Dropbox from the link itself, for which I am going to give in Adam's mail ID, and it says single sign-on has been enabled. I'm going to hit continue. And you can see that once again, I've been able to successfully access Adam's Dropbox account. So let me go back and check if the access to Dropbox is present for the user Sharda because we had customized or controlled the access application. And you can see that Sharda is denied access, that is single sign-on access to Dropbox, whereas it is available only for Google application. So yes, we have successfully completed a couple of exercises from today's agenda. That is, we looked into how we can enable Active Directory-based single sign-on for cloud applications. We also saw how to deal with multiple passwords and increasing application count in organizations. We saw how users have a one-click access to cloud applications without having to manually enter credentials every time by logging into their AD Self-Service Plus domain user login or portal and just clicking on the application they would like to access, and that is all they had to do to be able to successfully make use of the application. And we also saw how to use Active Directory as an authentication source for logging into cloud applications. So now I'm going to move on to the last exercise, which is control single sign-on for each application based on organizational units and groups present in the Active Directory. For this, what I'm going to do is I've pre-configured the single sign-on setup, both from the AD Self-Service Plus perspective as well as the applications end for a couple of more applications. So when I said we're dealing with multiple applications on a daily basis, I was not talking about one or two, but quite a lot of applications are required to be accessed on a daily basis. So what I've done is completed the configuration for Salesforce. I'm going to quickly modify the configuration and give the access permission only for the users present in the OU Finance and click on Update. So the system configuration has been updated successfully for Salesforce. Moving on, I'm going to repeat the process for Zendesk as well. And this time the policy is Finance once again. System configuration is successfully updated. Let me tweak the existing configuration in Dropbox. So initially we're given access only for the users in the policy HR. I'm going to change access and give or provide access to single sign-on, provide single sign-on access to Dropbox for all the users present in all the policies, update this particular configuration. And I've done it for ServiceNow as well. So yes, as I open each application, you can see that there are a few minute differences in each of them with respect to the domain name or the SAML redirect URL. So you can make use of the help guide and you will be able to successfully set up single sign-on for all the applications listed right here on your screens. Okay, so once this is done, let me log in to the user portal and try to look into the access each user has. So let me start with a user from admin, that is Sharda. So when I try and log into Sharda's account and access the applications she has access to, it is Google Apps and Dropbox. So the changes that is made is reflected real time. Also, I'm going to try and log into Adam's account, and Adam belongs to the policy HR to see the application access he has to. So in this case, it is Google Apps and Dropbox. Okay, so let us look into the case of another user who belongs to the organizational unit Finance, that is Andy. So I'm going to log into Andy's account. And under the Applications tab, you can see that Andy has access to more than two applications, that is Google Apps and Dropbox. Andy belonging to the Finance policy has access to Salesforce, Zendesk, and ServiceNow as well. So yes, with this, I'm sure you know how to control policy-based access to applications right from the AD Self-Service Plus Administrator portal. Also, getting back to the configuration tab, under self-service, hit policy configuration and choose the advanced settings for one of the policies that you're working with. And all you have to do is under the login TFA tab, which is nothing but two-factor authentication, you can enable two-factor authentication for user login for users belonging to this particular policy. So not only does the user give in his or her Active Directory credentials as the first factor of authentication, the user also has to go through the secondary authentication method, which is the verification code via email or SMS, RSA Secure ID, Duo Security, or Radius authentication, and successfully complete the authentication process or prove his identity to be able to move on and access all the cloud applications that he has access to. So yes, that is how simple it is to configure single sign-on from the AD Self-Service Plus admin portal. And this will provide seamless one-click access to multiple applications that is listed on your screens right now. So all you have to do is follow the help documents to set up the single sign-on configuration for each of the application. And if you have any trouble working with single sign-on configuration for any of these applications, all you have to do is hit a mail to support@adselfserviceplus.com and we will take all the efforts to help you complete the successful configuration and provide users a simple, seamless, one-click, secure access to all their cloud applications. So with that said, I've covered all the said exercises in today's agenda. And with that, we've come to the end of today's session. I really hope that it was very useful to you and you learned in detail about how easy it is to simplify user login using AD Self-Service Plus with the help of Active Directory single sign-on. All right, so now I'm going to take time to answer all your questions, so please keep them coming. You can also send me your feedback, mail me your questions or suggestions, or also give in your suggestions for the upcoming topics that you would like me to take in the future. And I will take the effort to cover all the set or suggested topics to improve your experience of using AD Self-Service Plus better. So all you have to do is hit a mail to sharda@manageengine.com and I will write back to you immediately and may take all the effort to bring in more exciting and informative webinars for you. So yes, now that I'm going to take time to answer all your questions, please keep them coming. Also, you can write your feedback to us in the feedback form that will be sent to you right after today's session. A quick reminder, the video of this workshop will be available online and it can also be mailed to you. The resource kit for this webinar can also be mailed to you. So all you have to do is drop in your mail in the questions or chat tab that is available to you and I will ensure that the video session resource kit reaches you well on time. So yes, please keep your comments, ideas, and suggestions coming because that is what keeps us pushing to do much better, to serve you much better, and to make AD Self-Service Plus a much smoother experience. Also, I would like to end today's session by thanking you all once again for taking the time away from your busy schedule to be part of this webinar that I'm presenting. It was an immense pleasure to have you on board. It was a great joy to be the presenter for today. So thank you so much. On that note, this is Sharada from the marketing team of Managed Engine AD Solutions signing off for today. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.